to Bean Town, where you want smile or frown. Talk up, boy, let it be known. Me hear you take man for clown. Knowing that them thing that you drown. All the Whitey Bulger can't be found. Man from Dorchester.
Yes, indeed. B Marsh Boxing back at it. B Marsh Boxing doing another video. This ain't the typical video boxing videos I do. But why wouldn't I? You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't I come on talk about something that's that something that I know well about, you know what I'm saying? And you might have heard the news already. Famous gangster out of Boston, man. Probably Boston's most famous gangster. Man by the name of Whitey Bulger. James Whitey Bulger. Well, in a violent end to a long and murderous career, the notorious Boston gangster James Whitey Bulger was killed Tuesday at a West Virginia federal prison. Now, this prison is it's a federal prison. I'm sure it's a high security because it's a penitentiary. You know what I mean? And the man Whitey Bulger, he was in the penitentiary. You know what I'm saying? And this ain't no club fe- um, club feds. You know what I mean? This ain't no one of them day camps. You know what I mean? Them federal camps, man, they threw Whitey Bulger in there with the wolves, you know what I'm saying? In the penitentiaries, you know what I mean? Them kind of USPs, you know what I mean? And, Whitey Bulger, you know what I'm saying? I remember when, I lived back in Boston when Whitey Bulger was running and running terror on the city, you know what I mean? I lived back in the beat. I got homies from Somerville, Winter Hill. You check it? That wasn't too far from where I stayed at, you know what I mean? So this news right here is something that I've been knowing or that's been embedded in me since I was a little kid, you know what I mean? When I lived back in Boston, you know what I mean? Whitey Bulger. I remember when they swept up his crew, you know what I'm saying? And he went on the run. This was probably around like end of 94, early 95, you know what I mean? I was probably in junior high them times, you know what I'm saying? Now, Whitey Bulger, man, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of West Virginia and the FBI are conducting an investigation, you know what I mean, into the death of Whitey Bulger, you know what I mean? No other information has been released. And as of right now, we don't know who did it. We don't know the circumstances. We don't know exactly how this happened. Charles Johnson was good. He signed. He says, "Tune, yes indeed. That's my peoples from Boston, man. If you heard the last thing they said, what he said, something about, oh, now Whitey Bulger can't be found. You know what I mean? Because Whitey Bulger, that song was probably from like 2010 or something, 2008. And the man Whitey Bulger, man, he was on the run for a long time. You know what I mean? I believe he was on the run for like, was it 18 years? Between 16 and 18 years, you know what I mean? They found him in Santa Monica. You check it in California in like an old home, like a residential where, basically over there where he was at, it's like a lot of old folks over there, you know what I'm saying? So he kind of blended in, but he got caught up. Somebody recognized him, you know what I mean? They would show his story on, what was that show on TV on Fox? Was it America's Most Wanted? You know what I mean? This guy was number one in the United States. He was number one America's Most Wanted. He was only second at any point of his time. He was second behind Osama bin Laden when they quote unquote got Osama bin Laden. I'm yet to see the evidence that they got bin Laden. Then they said Whitey Bulger was the number one most wanted man in the United States. Fix GRR was good, son. How you feeling, man? Chilling, man. Same old, man. Just gotta report this news that I seen when I came home on CNN, man. You know what I mean? Now, when my homies, the ones, they first threw me the links earlier during the day, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't home to do the video. Now that I'm in, I said, let me knock it out the box. When I first seen the news, the first thing that came to my mind is it's probably some gangsters in the joint in the federal, you know what I mean, the penitentiary from Boston, you know what I mean? Where it could be Irish gangsters, you know what I'm saying? It could be La Cosa Nostra, mob ties, fellas who down with the Italian mob, you know what I mean? Because one thing for sure, two things for certain in Boston, there's Irish, you know what I'm saying? There's an Irish mob and there's the Italian, La Cosa Nostra, you know what I mean? And the first thing that came to my mind when I said, "Yo, maybe it's a dude who is a family member or a victim of Whitey Bulger's reign of terror during the can't even just say the '90s. This motherfucker ran shit, man. He was doing this thing from the 70s. This guy was an informant for the FBI I think from the 80s, if I'm not mistaken, either late in the 70s or the 80s. But nevertheless, the man has been a gangster from. The man was a gangster when Alcatraz Federal Prison was open. You know what I mean? Because I know he served time in Alcatraz. I believe in like the 60s or maybe the 50s. You know what I mean? And like I said, man, in Boston, man, in the federal system, there's a lot of guys from Boston, you know what I mean? Whether it's bank robbers, Boston, produces Boston, Somerville, what's that next place right now? Charlestown, you know what I mean? They probably the most intricate bank robbers in the United States, you know what I mean? They got their shit down packed to a science. Not only banks, but also them pharmacies, you know what I'm saying? They be hitting up them pharmacies, you know what I mean? Cleaning the whole shelves out because them Percocets and all them kind of opiates, that's a lot of money on the streets. You know what I mean? So I thought maybe it's some Irish gangsters, maybe who are seeking revenge, trying to get a rep. You know what I'm saying? Because Whitey Bulger did, caused a lot of terror to their family or their neighborhoods in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Or it's maybe some La Cosa Nostra, you know what I mean? Some mafia guys, because that's who the man Whitey Bulger was snitching on. That's who he was telling on to get a chokehold or a stronghold on the city of Boston. You know what I mean? Them fellas, was trying to tell on the Italians so the feds could knock off and wipe off all the Italians, and they did succeed, man. They got them Italian mob fellas from Boston, the Patriarca family. You know what I'm saying? And that was his motive, so the Irish could take control. You know what I'm saying? And he was the head of that. You know what I mean? You check it. So that's initially what I thought. Then I'm reading some of these articles, and this article says right here that 3 people have been briefed on the situation. Speaking on the condition of what happened. They said that a fellow inmate with mafia ties was being investigated for the slaying of the 89-year-old Whitey Bulger the penitentiary USP Hazleton. You know what I mean? So this article it's from the Boston Globe. You know what I mean? It don't get no better than that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even gonna be worried about any other news publication rather than the Boston Globe. The Boston Globe was doing big articles on the guy Whitey Bulger during the 80s, during the 90s. When I was a kid, that's how I knew about the guy, seeing him all the time on the news. And he wasn't even incarcerated at the time, you know what I mean? It's just the speculation of what he had done and certain crimes. And Whitey Bulger at them times, his brother was like a senator, or first of all, he was like a president of UMass. I think he was a president of UMass, University of Massachusetts. I think the one in either Amherst or the one located in Boston, you know what I mean? And he was also like a senator. So this guy was a high-ranking politician in the state of Mass, you know what I mean? So, when Whitey Bulger, he almost was doing this thing with impunity that his brother is a, is a high-ranking politician. You check it, you know what I'm saying? But this is crazy, man. Whitey Bulger, 89 years old. So, whoever did that, in this day and age, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what kind of stripes a nigga got for doing that, you know what I mean? The man is 89 years old. You check it, whether it was justified or not. I don't know what kind of stripes they hit him with. Whoever did this, what kind of props you could get, because the man's 89 years old. But the whole time, even while Whitey Bulger was on the run, they did a couple movies based on him. The first one was that joint with Jack Nicholson. It was loosely depicted after his lifestyle of his life. What was the name of that movie? What's the name of that movie, man? I know the real true story one, the one they did basically about his whole life, was the one with Johnny Depp. That one was called Black Mass. Black Mass. That was a very good movie. Go check it out if you haven't. What was the name of the first joint, man? With Matt Damon in that joint, and he's acting like the cop who was giving the man Whitey Bulger information. The Departed, my man, Finks GRR. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I see you in the chat. My man, Mr. Doc, was good with you, man. He's in the chat. Mr. Doc says they had to get him with that Rico, right? I don't think they got him with. I don't know if they got him with the RICO. To be honest, I don't know because his indictment came from 1994, 90, like early 95, and he got the heads up. You know what I'm saying? He got the heads up from the FBI agents in the Boston office, in the Boston field office. They gave him the heads up. There's gonna be indictments, man. The federales, they coming for you, and his whole crew, everybody's underlings beneath him. There was a guy named Kevin Weeks. Kevin Weeks was like his top enforcer. They call him Kevin 2 Weeks, you know what I mean? Because Kevin Weeks, in 2 weeks, the man flipped, you know what I'm saying? Them fellas told on everybody, man. The man had done numerous murders, man. They murdered enough people, buried them under that bridge over there that takes, the Neposet Bridge over there that takes you to Quincy. And Boston's my city even before I moved to D.C., you know what I mean? So that's why till this day I'm still a big Red Sox, Celtics, Patriots, all them Bruins, man. I still rep for my Boston teams. You know what I'm saying? Um, you check it. I still got family over there. You know what I mean? And like I said, Kevin Weeks, man, he told quick, fast, and in a hurry. You know what I'm saying? Then there was his right hand man, Steve the Rifleman Flemmy. Steve the Rifleman Flemmy. They hit him with life. These guys had done a lot of murders. Steve the Rifleman Flemmy was Italian. You check it. He was Italian, but he was really working under the Irish. You check it. Let me see what y'all saying in the chat. Mr. Doc says he got shanked at 89. That's messed up. I don't know if he got shanked. I don't know what they did to him, but he's pretty frail and fragile. You know what I'm saying? They might have just shoved him. The motherfucker might have died. You know what I'm saying? You never know. You check it. But long story short, after when they did catch him and convicted him in I think 2011, 2012, they hit him with like 2 life sentences. Fix GRR says, haha, big up Google. Yeah, that was a quick, fast, and in a hurry search for the Departed. Good movie, man. I like Black Mass more because it was more of a true story. You know what I'm saying? The Departed was, it had some elements of Whitey's life. You know what I mean? But Black Mass is more of a closer depiction of what he was really about. Uh, Mr. Doc says, yeah, racketeering. Okay, from what I'm reading about, true indeed. Yeah, I know he had a lot of murders, man, and he was selling a lot of coke. You know what I mean? One of his mans, he was a dude, that was on the boxing scene when I was back in Boston. He was a good amateur on the come up, man. I forgot his name. Uh, he was a young dude, man, but he was part of the organization. Damn, I forgot. It's been so long ago, man. That one dude, he was a young dude. He was like the drug runner. You know what I'm saying? He was the one really, and he kind of fell back from doing the boxing thing because now he's getting a lot of money fucking with Whitey. You know what I'm saying? He was the one bringing the work, the coke all the way from Florida and bring it back to Boston. You know what I'm saying? And they had a stronghold. And these are predominant. This is predominantly in neighborhoods like in what they call it, the South End, you know what I mean, where there was a lot of Irish, you know what I mean? They have the black neighborhoods in Boston like Dorchester, Roxbury, you know what I'm saying, Jamaica Plains to a certain extent, you know what I mean? And Whitey Bulger really wasn't touching them neighborhoods, you know what I mean? Truth be told, Whitey Bulger was a kind of racist himself too, you know what I'm saying, Um, he ain't want nobody in South End selling heroin. That's one drug he ain't allow in the South End of Boston. You know what I mean, which was his strong turf. You know what I mean, and because to him he believed the dope, the heroin, be bringing in a lot of thieves, liars, drug addicts, and cheats. You know what I mean, and it lowers the basically quality of life in your community. Like cocaine doesn't. I don't get it, but anyways. Um, Mike 104 says, what up, B Marsh? Finally got to hang out at a decent hour. Mike 104, what are you on the West Coast or something? If you are, then I definitely agree because when I do hangouts, for the most part, it'd be in the morning, like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock East Coast time. That's about like 6 o'clock, 7 in the morning for you. So, yeah, man, this is an afternoon, actually evening joint. It's about to get dark here in a bit. Mr. Doc says they suspected him of like 19 murders, but racketeering looks like what they nailed him with. Okay, that's what's up. And Mr. Doc shows proof right here. He says, okay, here's the charges. Racketeering, the RICO, murder, 19 counts, conspiracy to commit murder, conspiracy to commit extortion, narcotics distribution, conspiracy to commit money laundering, extortion. Yeah, yeah, man. You know, them fellas was involved in a lot of stuff, man. A lot of shit. James South says, apparently Whitey was beaten badly to death. Jesus Christ. I hope, oh my God, man. Like I said, man, whoever did it, they might have had been trying to get a rep, trying to get a name for themselves. Maybe they got family or are from the city of Boston and Whitey Bulger probably killed, murdered, tortured, or just caused some kind of reign of terror on that particular individual's families, or it's people from the Cosa Nostra, the mafia, the Italians, you know what I mean, who Whitey Bulger put a lot of people behind bars. You know what I mean? A lot of prominent people. Don't get no bigger than the head of the Boston La Cosa Nostra. I think his name was Patricia or something. You know what I'm saying? He got put away. And I forgot the other older guy's name. Can't even remember his name right now. Finks GRR says Kevin Weeks the boxer. No, I don't think he was a boxer. I don't think he was a boxer. There was another kid in their crew. I can't remember his name right now. He was a younger guy. And he didn't tell. He did his time. You know what I'm saying? He did his time like a stand-up dude. Didn't tell. Couldn't fucking believe it that the whole time Whitey Bulgers, would always be talking about kill rats and all that. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? They don't condone snitching. But when the young dude found out that they bossed for over a decade was the one snitching, he couldn't believe it. You know what I mean? Can't remember his name right now. But maybe I might find it after I do this live stream, and I'll just put the name of the son, Slim. I'll put the name of dude in the comment section. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, like Bulger, he'd been serving life for 11 murders. He had been sent to the West Virginia facility after a quick stop at Oklahoma transfer site. You know what I mean? And before that, he was in a penitentiary in what do you call it? He was in a penitentiary in Florida. You know what I'm saying? And in 2014, and from 2014, you check it till 2018. Before that, he was in a high security penitentiary in Arizona. So the Oklahoma is a transfer point. You know what I'm saying? And there's Washington D.C. Out here, man. Out here, a lot of people come home from prison because Washington D.C. doesn't have a state prison. So you commit felonies that you might have to do 3 to 5. They're gonna send you to the federal prisons. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of people who've come home who are on the streets of D.C. Young dudes, old dudes, don't matter, middle age, who come home from federal prison. And the sad thing about it, like I said, Washington D.C., since it's not a state, it's a district. You could be from D.C. and they could send you to Arizona. They could send you to the state of Washington. They could send you to Big Sandy in Kentucky. Any and everywhere in any corner or anywhere in the United States. You know what I'm saying? So Oklahoma, from what I've heard from fellas who come home from the joint, is what you call it? It's like a transfer point, you know what I mean? And that's like a place where you go do your processing before they send you to do time at another joint. And it's crazy because Oklahoma is like in the middle of America, and if dude Whitey Bulger was in Florida, then they had to take him all the way to the middle of America to Oklahoma for the transfer, and then bring him to West Virginia. That's one thing. The inmates, they call that diesel therapy. You know what I mean? Basically the federal system trying to fuck with your mind and just keep your mind chained. You know what I'm saying? Like with all that traveling. You know what I'm saying? Like why go all the way over there? It's like you're making a exact beeline, the opposite beeline, just to go from point A to point B. You know what I'm saying? You basically got to go from point A to point B, then your final destination is point C. Might be other destinations between that. So That's basically where Whitey Bulger was coming from, a transfer, you know what I'm saying? From Oklahoma to the penitentiary over there in what you call it? In West Virginia, you know what I'm saying? Um, here's one person, a guy whose father was gunned down in a phone booth on Morrissey Boulevard in Dorchester in 1975. So this guy is the son of a father who was a victim of Whitey Bulger's terror. He says, "I can only hope it was a slow and painful death. I'm obviously glad it wasn't from natural cause." You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people who have motives and bad intentions for the guy because of what he did to these people. You know what I'm saying? Of basically his reign of terror. You know what I mean? When they found Whitey Bulger, I'm not gonna lie. There was always rumors. The guy's in London. He could be in Italy. There was even one time when America's Most Wanted in the early 2000s. They said there was a spotting of him in Ireland. You know what I'm saying? Um, but nothing ever came of that. Let me try find some more encounters um, of people who were victims of this guy. Mary Callahan of Burlington. I used to go to Burlington back when I was in Boston. There was a mall over there with a big ass movie theater. You know what I mean? I remember I met a Boston Celtic player at the time. This was like '95. His name was. I remember went to see Mortal Kombat. Me and my buddies. Mortal Kombat had just come out that summer, and I see David Wesley. You know what I mean? David Wesley was a ball player, played on the Celtics, and he also played on the Hornets. He was a sharpshooter. You know what I'm saying? So that's why this Burlington brings back memories. But anyways, Mary Callahan of Burlington, whose husband John was killed in 1982 by Bulger hitman John Matarano. Whew, I remember that name. John Matarano was a guy who caught a lot of bodies. She says, "There's no closure when you've lost a loved one. That stays forever. Love never dies. But I guess that this is a Halloween present. It's a treat. Yeah, I mean, so some people are happy, man. Uh, yeah, some people are real excited about this news. You know what I mean? Whitey Bulger's death. You check it, and in 2013, federal jury in Boston convicted him of participating in 11 murders in the 70s and 80s while running a sprawling criminal enterprise involved in gambling, extortion, and drug trafficking. And he was from the projects, you know what I mean? He was from a projects over there. Actually, it's one of the oldest house, no, not one of. It is the oldest housing projects in the United States of America. It's called Old Colony, you know what I mean? It's right there in Boston in the South End. The South End demographics when I lived in Boston, from when I was last in Boston in 2015. That's the last time I was back in the Bean. South End has really changed, you know what I mean? Like, it's a predominantly Irish neighborhood. Me as a black dude, I wouldn't even go there. I wouldn't. I wouldn't go there. I ain't got no business over there. You know what I mean? But now, in 27, from 2015, I guess till now, the demographics have changed. I've seen Hispanics in that neighborhood. I've seen yuppies. What do you call these people? These people come into these old neighborhoods that were once bad and could come into these gentrified neighborhoods, and because these neighborhoods are more times than many when the yuppies and the gentrifiers they come in. It's neighborhoods that were bad but are in prime real estate, like in beautiful parts of the city. And the South End is in a beautiful part of Boston, you know what I mean? So that's what I mostly seen when I was last over there, you know what I'm saying? It ain't the, I'm sure there's still Irish there, but it's not the Irish stronghold that it once used to be. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Just like Manhattan, where Chinatown is. That once used to be all Little Italy, you know what I'm saying? Used to be a big Little Italy. Now Little Italy is shrunk down. It's very small over there in Manhattan, lower Manhattan, but the Chinatown is massive. You know what I mean? Okay. Mike 104 says, I'm going to catch up on archives. See ya. Peace. Mr. Doc says, so he wasn't in that white collar type prison. Hard time at 89. Good luck. Yeah, man, Mr. Doc, man, they threw him in a penitentiary, man. Yeah, a penitentiary that has, I think, this year, just 2018, has had multiple stabbing deaths. You know what I'm saying? And just in history, it's penitentiaries, man. You know, this shit ain't sweet. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Doc says destroying family lives. Karma don't get much worse than that. Who knows how much shit they didn't get him for? Yeah, man. Yes, indeed. Finks GRR says, my man got 1 weekend to enjoy one last World Series. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's a nice one, Finks. I was happy, man. I've been wearing my Boston Red Sox hat every day. Every day since, we won that World Series a couple nights ago, you know what I mean? But that's one thing for sure. He did get to see the Red Sox before this demise get another world title, you know what I mean? The Red Sox hadn't won a world title in like 90 years. Now they've got four in 15 years, you know what I mean? So that's one thing. That was a good point, Finks GRR. Right on time. Yeah, man, but just had to put it out there one time, man, Whitey Bulger, man. I thought they'd never find this guy, dogs. You know what I'm saying? I thought they'd never find this guy, But at the end of the day, Whitey Bulger wasn't a good boss. Not that any of these criminals or are as a good boss better than the other. Yeah, they are actually, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are some good bosses better than others, you know what I'm saying? Basically from their deeds and what they do and how they conduct they outfit, you know what I mean? But Whitey Bulger was a power tripper, a guy who was a psychopath, a guy who had done time in Alcatraz, and he was part of those inmates, I believe in the 50s, who were given LSD as experiment, but from the federal government. You know what I'm saying? They were given doses of LSD for basically experimental purposes, you know what I mean? Basically being treated like lab rats, you know what I mean? And that is one of those things that factors that have maybe caused him to be more of a psychopath and always be on the edge. You know what I'm saying? One of the worst murders I do remember because, like I said, I even had people who lived in Winter Hill. You know what I mean? Somerville. That's right there, close to the border of Boston and Somerville. You know what I mean? And I lived on the other end of Somerville. You checking? Now, there was a story about Steve the Rifleman Flemmy, who had a daughter, a stepdaughter, matter of fact. And Steve the Rifleman Flemmy, I think he used to even fuck that stepdaughter. He used to fuck his wife's daughter, you know what I mean? And his wife's, that was a stepdaughter, wasn't in his marriage. But, what do you call it? The girl was a loose girl. Obviously, she's fucking the step pops too. And um, she also had a reputation of going to the bars and going to the pubs and fucking with black dudes too, you know what I'm saying? And, one thing, the rifleman, Steve Flemmy, he ain't like that the girl be fucking with black dudes, you check it? So, Whitey Bulger helped the rifleman. They lured her into a house over there in the South End, and they lured her into a basement. And the man basically strangled the broad. You know what I mean? The man strangled the girl, and then he went to take a nap after he did that. Whitey Bulger strangled her with his pure hands. You know what I mean? Just off the fact, that the girl was, she was also a drug addict too. She was on the cocaine, so you could just imagine. She's like a Ginger from the movie what's that shit called? Casino with De Niro and Sharon Stone and Joe Pesci. You know what I mean? She was, so they basically strangled the girl. I don't remember if they buried her under the bridge or they buried her in the basement, in the dirt, in the basement of that house. And this was one of many murders that he just did either with his hands as a sadistic sadist, you know what I mean? So Whitey Bulger was a kind of guy who was a power tripper, and worst of worst, he was a fucking rat. He was an informant for the federal government, you know what I mean? For the FBI. He had a kid named Connolly, who was a guy who grew up in the projects where he grew up. He obviously became a law enforcement guy. But, Whitey Bulger was a guy from the neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? And Whitey Bulger had this guy in the pocket and he was getting information from the FBI cop just as long as the guy Whitey Bulger was also giving information on the Italian La Cosa Nostra families in Boston, you know what I mean? So it was deep, man. Shit was real deep, man. I know much about Whitey Bulger, you know what I'm saying? There's other gangsters out of Boston, you know what I mean? There was guys like what's his name? The guy God. His name was God. God, I forgot his real name, but they called him God. He was really from Queens, but he came to Boston and he set up shop in the projects, and you know he was running shit. You know what I mean? But he was a good criminal because he'd also have back to school and after school activities, rec centers. You know, so he was stealing from the community, but he was also giving back. You know what I mean? Boxing junkie in the chat says, die, rat. Facts. And that's what happened. You know what I mean? That's what happened, man. Somebody took matters into their own hand and they played the judge, jury, and the executioner on the man Whitey Bulger. You know what I'm saying? They finished off what the United States government didn't do. They played the judge and the jury, the United States government, you know what I mean? But what you call it? The fellas in the federal the federal penitentiaries, man. Like I said, they didn't throw them in there in them kind of camps, them day camps that they sent guys like Bernie Madoff's old ass, you know, Bernie Madoff, them Ponzi scheme guys, you know what I mean? Them fellas is in a kind of federal prison where he probably wakes up to breakfast in bed, orange juice and toast and butter and jam and shit like that, you know what I mean? Nah, dogs, they sent the man, and it's obvious this guy was in high security maximum penitentiaries, Whitey Bulger, you know what I'm saying? So it was only a matter of time. Like I said, first initial thoughts when I heard this story was it's probably somebody trying to get a rep, somebody he probably did damage to their family, was a victim of their family, or maybe the La Cosa Nostra. As of now, we don't know yet, but like I said, from the article from the Boston Globe, and I'll go back to the article, and it says, um, um, tell you what it says. Um, Three people briefed on the situation said a fellow inmate with mafia ties was being investigated for the slaying of the 89-year-old Bulger at USP Hazleton. You know what I'm saying? His brother, John Bulger, who I said was like the president of the University of Massachusetts, and also a politician, he said in a brief telephone interview that the family had been notified of his death, and that's all that's left. Relatives of Bulger's victims, they have no sympathy. One guy says, quote, his death means absolutely nothing to me. There's one less scumbag on this earth. That's Patricia Donahue, whose husband Michael was giving a ride home to Bulger's intended target, but Brian Holleran, when Donahue was gunned down in '82. I remember that shit too. I remember that story. That dude had a big ass head. I think they called him Balloon Head, and I forgot what he did. I forgot what he did. Um, but they blew his ass up, man. At the Boston Legal, what they call that shit? Boston, what's that restaurant? Boston's Legal Seafoods or something? It's a kind of restaurant. They got one in D.C., but it's originally from Boston. And it's kind of on the docks over there in Boston by the water. And they blew this dude up. They chased him, man. It was a kind of, they just took out the motherfucking, the shotguns and they blasted his ass away. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. Finks GRR says, good insight, B. Marsh. Would love to hear your insight on boxing-related crimes. Boxing-related crimes. I'd have to do some homework on those, you know what I mean? There are a lot of boxing-related crimes. A lot of boxers have done time, done stupid shit to the point where they get locked up, you know what I mean? For a lot of guys, from Riddick Bowe, Michael Nunn still doing time in the penitentiary. Um, You know, Hurricane Reuben Carter being falsely accused of crimes that of a murder he didn't do. So yeah, that's a good topic, man. I might look into that, man. I might do one sporadically. You know what I mean? You never know. Might be a series. Good looks, Fix GRR. I'm gonna look into that. Boxing Junkie says, yes, sir. Die rat, kill all rats. Be Marsh Boxing, man. Leave your thoughts and comments. Let me know what y'all think about the death of Whitey Bulger. Leave your thoughts and comments. Let me know how you guys think might would have happened to him. You know what I mean? Who might have done it? You know what I'm saying? 89 years old. Obviously, somebody wasn't letting that shit ride. You know what I mean? Somebody was gonna say before they go get taken down themselves. I did this to Whitey. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. Mr. Doc says free Kurt Cedars. Yeah, man. Free Kurt Cedars, man. Kurt Cedars would be nice for him to come home too. You know what I'm saying? You know, Kurt Cedars a guy, obviously in the United States, a guy who doesn't even know very good English. He's in a place like Brooklyn, a lot of Russians out there. You know, he was probably being taken advantage of just off the strength that he's a boxer, he's a strong guy, and people are afraid of him. You know, but in the end of the in the long run, he even got shanked up. Was it him or was it his boss? I think one of them two got shanked up. I did a story on them. You know what I'm saying? They also doing federal time, you know what I mean? United States government type shit. But yeah, man, B March Boxing. Appreciate everybody coming through. Mr. Doc, Fix GRR, Boxing Junkie, Mike 104, Charles Jackson. Peace and love to all y'all. Thanks for coming through, and I'm gonna catch y'all on the next vid. And everybody listening on archives, let me know in the comment section what y'all know about Whitey Bulger. Let me know what you if you thought this guy would ever get caught. Let me know who you think might have did what they done to him. All right, I'm out of here. Peace. And I appreciate all the thumbs up in this joint. One.